the Park District, again, if you go back to that May meeting, and there is a recording of it, I can make it available. You go back to that May meeting of the Park District, it's clear that the Park District didn't even have an idea what these things were going to cost, much less did they actually provide them. And there's a real telling comment in there where, and I'm not going to name them because I don't want to blind anybody, but one of the trustees says, did anybody really believe we were going to put in AstroTurf? We said you were going to. Why wouldn't we believe it? But obviously, they didn't mean it. Or at least they say, well, that's kind of iffy sort of thing. So for lots of reasons, the referendum shouldn't come into evidence. It'll be our position that it won't. My guess is the Park District will try to get it in. And I've been trained, proven wrong before. This judge might let it in, but I don't think it'll be.
What is that pink space currently used for? We're trying to remember that we used to play soccer.
Yeah, there was a soccer field up here. It actually.
Is that for where the 3-year-olds play? That's what I kind of remember.
It shows some older kids, and I think other people told me they were older there. But it was on a little bit of an angle.
It's on a tiny little field that's slow.
But it was one of the small fields. I probably up to maybe 7, 8 years old would be my guess.
I guess my point is it's not very well utilized today at all.
Well, and that comes back to this question. I mean, again, it's a philosophical issue. Is parking only for sports? If it's only for sports, then I suppose that is the question.
Are people picnicking there now?
Let me see. Somebody took this on, I guess I don't know how to read that date. Looks like November 22nd, 2007.
I can't see.
Playing there. As I understand it, they just happened as one of the people who lived in that building just saw it out the window and took the picture. People do play in sport. I mean, I've gone over just to have a look and refresh my memory how it looks and see people play.
Tom, in the original referendum, what did they quote the acreage as? Do you know that? It just seems to me in the referendum they quoted a certain acreage they were selling, and it was less than 3.5.
They quoted it 2.2 acres.
It says 2.2.
2.2. So,
2.2 acres.
Well, okay. So let me.
I say there's a sample referendum question on this, and it says 2.2 acres.
So if the original referendum says 2.2, and it turns out to be 3.5, now would that constitute a misrepresentation of what's for sale, so that it would negate the?
No, because they gave the other part to the village of Grange, so it wasn't Park District land.
Actually,
so it actually is
2.2. At the time of referendum, they hadn't done that.
Oh, they hadn't done that.
Because to me, if you misrepresented the acreage, you'd have a real problem. And call it technical, call it what you want, but it doesn't represent what the sale is. 2.2 versus 3.
The reality is, and people talk about legal license. The reality is 3.5 acres of property is what's disappearing. Can you make these technical arguments of, well, we pulled this piece out because we were able to do this swap arrangement? Yes, you can. But it doesn't make it any difference as to the amount of property that's actually going away.
You keep talking about the judges going to rule on the public interest, what's in the public interest, and you said a lot of things that would not be allowed, like opinions. What is going to be allowed?
You see, there's a question, and that's why I look at this, and I have a difficult time, and I'm going to be a little cagey because this is the issue that's going to be decided by the judge, so I'm not going to go into what our evidence would be.
Were you given any guidelines on what she wants to hear you address?
I guess I'll tell you this. There is a case, it's Fields versus Chrysler, that says a court can't determine what's in the public interest, and the statute that requires it to is unconstitutional because it violates the separation of powers clause of the Constitution. For exactly this reason, that it's very difficult for a court to figure out what criteria it should use. And this statute gives the court no guidance at all. At this point, this judge has decided that in her mind it is constitutional, that's her opinion, and so she is going to go forward with the trial. But I really do wonder. I mean, it's very hard to try this case. I'll tell you, it's extremely hard to figure out how you're going to try this case.
But when you were giving instructions on, I'd like to hear evidence on A, B, and C. And then...
And understand, I'm not criticizing this judge. She's a very smart lady, and I like her, okay? Or whatever that's worth. But she has not, and I think the reason she has not is because it's simply difficult for her to do.
Okay, and then just not to split hairs, but is the issue being decided whether it's in the public interest to sell the land or whether it's in the public interest to dispose of the land? I mean,
I don't think the statute makes that distinction.
Meaning, do you have to argue, or will the partners have to argue that there was a reason not to keep it versus a reason to sell it?
Oh. Well, that's not defined in the statute either. And the reason to sell it, of course, is you want the money. Would probably be, at that point, all you have left is the money, so the reason to sell it is you want the money. And this gets into the philosophical sort of question we were talking about before. It is our position, of course, that they have to show why the land is not useful, not necessary, why in a park district that has 40% of the land it ought to have for its population, it should decrease that. We look at it the way that they have to show why it's in the public interest to sell it. I'm sure they look at it in the way of they want to show that it's in the public interest, or to dispose of it. They want to show that it's in the public interest to sell it because they want to use the money.
But then you've got no indication from the judge either way, or is she'll be open to both interpretations?
She is, and I think rightly not telegraphed that to us because first, I'm not sure that she's decided. I have no way of looking into her mind. But on the other side of it, I think that would probably prejudice one side or the other if they did. That's clear. On the other hand, I do have to say that I think both sides have a hard time figuring out what they're trying to do. I know, however, at this point I know I'm looking about it, but I can't say I'm real happy with the uncertainties.
Tom, when you said the Park District gave away the road to the city,
Sorry?
the Park District gave the road to the town?
Didn't give it, swapped it.
Well, how can they do that?
There is a statute that allows public entities to swap property provided the Park District gets at least the same
And what they get in
property.
return?
They got the parking lot that's already in the park.
The parking lot that's already...
In other words, the road that it's on this map, this parking lot and the road in here is not all road, some of it's parking lot. They took the parking lot in exchange for that parking lot. The parking lot belongs to the village, or did. So, in effect, what they did is they swapped their land for a piece of property they were already using.
Did you or Mark, I guess, have much experience in this area of law before you jumped into it?
I've got quite a bit of experience in municipal law, not this area.
Not this area.
And it is there's quite a bit to know about this area of law. There's a whole other concept that we haven't discussed here called the public trust doctrine, which is another issue altogether about whether or not parkland should be sold. The theory, and this is a U.S. Supreme Court theory, that park districts hold their property in trust for the public and that they're unable to divest themselves of it in those circumstances. There is argument back and forth whether this particular property is public trust property.
But didn't this lawsuit start just strictly on the basis that this group of 20 people did not want 3.5 acres sold, regardless? They didn't want any land sold from the Park District without any regard for the fact that the Park District was acting in the public interest to help children, to improve Gordon Park. There are several areas in this that were considered. It wasn't just to gain more money for the Park
Ultimately, of
District.
course,
It was in the public interest for children and adults. And the plan that they had put out. Sure, they didn't have everything down just like any plan that starts out doesn't. But they had parameters of what they wanted to do for the public. They had parameters what they could do with that money that they got. And it was going to be a win-win solution for the village and the park district. But the only thing that these people were concerned about, and still are today, is that they had to find a way to stop selling 3.5 acres of land. And so they found a technicality. And I find it, I think you've wasted a lot of our money, our tax dollars, and the park district's money for 3.5 acres. When the overall concept would have benefited all of LaGrange instead of a flooded area. When they try to place some games, they were going to redo a lot of things over there so people could use that park more. And that's the whole idea of a park, is for people to be able to use it. And children.
I agree with that.
And I
What
don't
I disagree
think
with,
that
though,
what this
is
doing is going to help at all. It's not getting used anymore because they still have flooding over there.
Yeah.
They still have problems.
Okay. That's your opinion.
Yes, you're right.
Right. I mean, it's not a question. I'm going to put that out. It's not from something for you to answer. It's your opinion. All right. And I said before that this is an issue of philosophy.
Based on what the park was going to do. Absolutely. It's not a philosophy.
Well, yes, I
I'm
think
for
that-
as much open land as we can have in the Grange. But once in a while, you have to compromise. Once in a while, for the public good, you have to compromise. And I think, again, it was in the public interest because it passed a referendum. And even though that's an opinion, it's an opinion of the majority of the people in this village. And for 20 people to try to turn that around, I find that ridiculous.
I don't know how to respond to that because what you're asking me to do is argue with you. I'm not going to.
No, I'm not asking you. I'm just telling you my opinion.
I guess I'll just say this. That obviously, the Grange Friends of the Bars. 3 attorneys, actually 4 because at one point, were willing to put their effort into this without being paid. And they're not doing it, I think, for some sinister reason. And I don't know what that sinister reason would be. And I, again, don't attribute any sinister reasons to the park district. I think that from their point of view, they're doing what they thought they should do. And I believe that the objectors to all of this are doing what they think they should do. And as far as cost is concerned, I earlier comments on that. There is no reason. I just don't think it should have cost that. I'll leave it at that.
Do we have any other questions? It's 9 o'clock, so.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.